Good day, everybody. Happy Motivated Monday. I am dropping in because I wanted to talk about something in particular, and I'm not even sure how it's going to come out. So bear with your girl, but I'm trying to tackle something that we came upon last night in class. We had a very interesting and powerful time together, and one of the concepts that came up in our conversation is something called a shadow side or a shadow self. Looks like my connection is weak, so I'm not sure if you guys are getting this communication right now. Now, let's see if it gets a little better. Looks like it's going to get better. Okay, so we talked about embracing our shadow side or our shadow self. And in a nutshell, your shadow self is that part of you that maybe you're embarrassed about. Maybe you're shunning, maybe you're repressing, maybe, it's a part of your personality that you have shamed yourself for having. Your shadow self could be, a major anger issue or jealousy issue, or maybe you did something that you're not really proud of, or maybe you have a character, what you might deem a character defect that not many people know about or that you try to hide, or maybe it's something that totally takes over yourself at times when you really don't want it to, and it sabotages relationships and opportunities. Either way, it came out about the shadow self, and learning to embrace that. So what do I mean when I say embrace? Because that's like, what am I hugging my shadow self for? I'm trying to get rid of that joint. Totally understandable. However, if we don't bring light, awareness to that aspect of ourselves, how do we anticipate that we can really do the healing that we want to do and really be our authentic selves if we're shutting off a part of us that does exist? So when I'm suggesting to embrace your shadow self, it's like, go ahead and shine light on that dark place. Bring love to it. There's a lady that I talked about last night that you guys might be aware of. Her name is Marianne Williamson. She is a huge promoter and teacher of something called A Course in Miracles. She's also written one of my favorite books of all time called A Return to Love. It might have been the first book I ever read in one sitting. And basically, she talks about the shadow self in a full-on book and video about it, because she is a huge advocate of dealing with what's real and dealing with that darker side of ourselves. Because a lot of the times when we're coaching and we're dealing with spirituality, we might default to the flowers and the trees aspect of it, for lack of a better way to say it. But the reality is we are dealing with a multifaceted, layered human being who has a lot of things going on, and we are not in these courses for improvement because everything is so peachy. I think that it is a lifelong journey to deal with those aspects of ourselves that we might deem to be a shadow. And I also feel that if we bring light and love and awareness to it, we can actually heal it, but in a healthy way. And it can become our ally. Let's say you have an anger issue like I had. Hey, Marquita, let's say that you have an anger issue, and it embarrasses you because it takes over your personality self when you don't want it to. You don't have as much control over it as you'd like. For me, I finally was like, this is an issue. And I started buying books. I believe in immersing yourself in whatever you want to heal. So I started buying books and I started to watch videos. I probably attended whatever I could in that time because, YouTube wasn't even popular. I don't even think YouTube existed then. But I surrounded myself with people and material that could help me to heal from what I was dealing with. Hey, Taz. And by bringing awareness, by bringing light, by bringing love. And when I say love, a state of allowance, meaning, hey, this exists. And it's okay that it exists. And let me find out why it exists. Because a lot of the times these shadow aspects of ourselves get developed for reasons. Either we feel we need it to protect ourselves. Maybe it's a coping mechanism. Whatever it is, it's there for a purpose. It's not just trying to wreak havoc in your life like that, So just bringing light to a dark place helps to understand why it's there. And then once you understand why it's there, then you can start to figure out, well, how do I use this energy and channel it in a way that empowers me, that brings greater joy into my life, that helps me? How do I use this energy? Because it's going to be excess energy. Where can I put it in my life that improves my conditions? And then the more honest you are, I find, with yourself, who you are, where you are, then you can get honest healing in that area. If you're running from it, if you're trying to repress it, then it's going to keep popping up for you to deal with it. And probably at times when you don't want it to pop up. And then you're going to keep shaming yourself, right? And then you go into different places of feeling bad or depression. Feeling bad or depression about it. And it's this vicious cycle that continues until you bring real awareness and real healing, real attention to the matter. So embracing your shadow self is not necessarily saying, hey, I love you in the sense of I want you to be here and stick around. It's like, hey, I love you. You need to be healed. Marianne Williamson brought up a great analogy. You know, when we fall and hurt ourselves and we skin our knee when we're kids, right? What does your parent do immediately? They're like, oh, baby, if you've got a loving, nurturing parent, they're going to try to pick you up, try to kiss the boo-boo, right? But when we have wounds on the inside, and nobody can see them, who's kissing the boo-boo? We got to kiss our own boo-boos. We got to be the ones to go in there and be willing to do the work and look at what's hurting us. Look at what's wounded us. Look at why we've developed these character traits, or what we may have deemed a character defect, and work on that. Bring light, bring awareness to it. Find out why it's there, and then bring real healing to it so that you can truly operate from an authentic place. That's how we get to more of our authenticity. You know, so when we come to playgrounds like PPU, this is the place to go ahead and air this stuff out. We're around other people of like mind and other people of a similar mission to self-heal, that are going to make, you got it, Taz, that are going to make room for you to be who you are right where you are, with your shit, with your baggage, with your stuff, with the things that you feel embarrassed about, with the things you feel shame about, with the things you feel like you need more love for. We are here to kiss our boo-boos. That's what PPU is about. We got to get in there and do this work. So, you know, this is just to support everybody that not only was in class last night when we dealt with this deep rooted thing, but also to support everybody in PPU to embrace all aspects of ourselves and bring light to all aspects of ourselves and bring love to all aspects of ourselves, because that's how we really get to operate from real authenticity, and that's when we really get to experience more real freedom. Real freedom. And I was saying even last night, you know, absolutely, every place is not the safest place to do this. You know, you do develop discernment for a reason, right? But the more that you find those safe places like PPU or wherever else you might go and develop community with other people, wherever you find those safe places, go ahead and stretch and exercise there, because the more you can show up real there, it's going to give you the courage to show up real everywhere else. And then people are going to respond to that realness in you. They're going to connect to that authenticity in you, because you keep chipping away and healing that part of yourself. You keep chipping away and showing up. And then you're going to be willing to share that aspect of yourself, and it's going to heal the next person. You know what I mean? What we think we need to hide and repress is exactly the magic that's been that is in you to share with someone else for their healing. And then you're going to keep healing because you're sharing and you're healing. You know what I mean? It's like this beautiful cycle. But I just wanted to drop in and talk about that shadow self, because it's so important that we acknowledge it, that we embrace it, that we show love to it, that we kiss our boo-boos. You know what I mean? And that by having a safe place like this to do it in, because we decide to bring that light and awareness and love to it, we're going to show up differently out there in the rest of the world. We're going to show up more authentically out there. We're going to show up more honest out there. And what we deem to be a negative or bad part of ourselves could actually become our ally. We'll learn to tame it. You know, that strong energy that I had, that anger that I had, now I know how to challenge it, channel it. And then sometimes if it shows up and I'm like, woo, that's a practice. It's practice. It's practice. And then there's times, you got it, Taz, and there's times that anger that I have is very necessary, because it may be protecting me in the moment. So somebody knows not to cross a certain line. It gives me boundaries. You know what I'm saying? It helps me to know when enough is enough for my own spiritual health, for my own, joy and happiness to stay intact. You know, that anger is coming up as an indicator. Sometimes it's coming up to say, hey, you're going too far. And other times it's coming up to say, hey, this needs to be healed in you. Probably both at the same time. This is just an opportunity to do some more healing. This is an opportunity to bring more light, more awareness to why you feel the way you feel. Why did you develop this character trait in you? Or why is it showing up right now in this moment? Why is it there? It's not always all bad. It may show up in a way that can be sabotaging to your opportunities and relationships, but it's there because it's trying to protect you. Now you want to find a way to just use it a little bit better. How can it become your ally in a different way? And then as you continue to do that, it's going to tame on its own because you're being honest. You're living honestly. You're going to live with more integrity and authenticity because you're owning it. And you're going to experience more freedom because you're owning it. I promise you everybody's not perfect. I promise you everybody's dealing with something, and you're probably dealing with their representative a lot of the times. But seriously and sincerely, embrace your shadow parts. That's what a real healing really is, and the real work is. And the practice is. And when you find safe havens like a PPU to do it in, take full advantage, stretch, come in and be honest. So that the more you practice your honesty, you're going to practice it out there too. And you're going to experience more freedom because of it. So I'm sending love to you guys. If there's anything you didn't understand or you want me to expound on from this conversation, you can talk to me now, as a matter of fact. And then for those of you who catch this video later, you can leave some stuff in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Taz, I'm so glad that this conversation was on time. And Charles, welcome to the conversation. And Marquita, welcome to the conversation. Or you've been here. But thank you for being a part of it. I saw all that love. That's what's up. I'm sending love to you, Taz. You know I am. I love all of you. And that's why I wanted to drop in, because this is coming from my heart. So did you guys have any comments for me, or did you have any questions for me before I get off the camera? Come out of this session. This is about embracing and healing the shadow self, and allowing yourself to not only channel that energy, but for it to become your ally eventually. Bless up, man. Okay, so it looks like you guys are just letting that digest and letting it ride, which is a beautiful thing too. So, okay, you've been in a funk for a few. Don't know where it came from, but needed these words. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because it's okay. We got to make it all okay. All the transitioning we're going through, all the emotions we deal with, we don't have to repress those like they don't belong or like they shouldn't exist. You know how I feel about the word should. No should and should nots. Either we do or we don't, we will or we won't. Keeps us in an empowered place to choose, because that's what we have, is free will to choose. No shoulds and should nots. If the emotion is there, it's there for a reason. Why is it there? Ask the emotion. Ask yourself, why did this come up? What is it protecting? What does it think it's protecting me from? What does it think it needs to be here to do for me? Because the more understanding you can gather, the more you can bring awareness and love and light and power to the situation, and then it can become your ally. Now you can heal for real in the moment and say, you know what? Okay, now I know why this is here. I don't need this to show up like this anymore. I'm going to let this emotion transmute itself. I'm going to let it transform into something else now. You know? You've been, okay. Hey, Ty, welcome to the conversation, talking about the shadow self right now. Definitely go back and listen to the top of the video. It was on my heart to share, so I'm in it to win it. Didn't realize the name shadow self. It makes sense, right? What you said, I'm still working through the shadow self. It's kind of cool to give it a name, right? Or just kind of have like an understanding of it, because then it gives you something to grasp. You know, that's just kind of how we function as human beings. We like to categorize things and have a place for them so that we can make it make sense in our mind. You know, but it's just that dark place that we want to shine light in, that we want to shine awareness in, that we want to bring love to. And I love, like I said, the analogy of kissing the boo-boo. You know what I mean? We when we see our scars on the outside, we're so much more forgiving about them, aren't we? We're so much more loving because we see them. We're so much more loving because we see that you actually dealt with some pain. But what about those scars on the inside? that nobody sees. And if you don't open up enough to show somebody, somebody would never know it's there. But you're acting out. Your emotions, your reactions to your environment are coming from those wounds that never got the kiss for the boo-boo. So it's our responsibility to kiss our own boo-boos, to bring awareness to them. That's how we kiss them. We bring love to them. We shine a light in the darkness. We don't leave it there hoping that it goes away. Okay. You guys, this is resonating.